420, 42.0. I think the actual track is probably a little bit longer technically because there's a volume swell in it. But the original demo was 42 seconds, and that's just kind of I wanted something fast, something fun. I don't know if I initially wanted it to be the opener, but that's just kind of how it turned out. Um, and then Kev started with "Blaze It." It's the first line, and that's just what we wanted to call it. I think that's what we called the demo, and then we just kind of ran with it from there.
Nice. What is some like the lyrical? Where's the lyrical inspiration from this one?
Oh man, I it's kind of tongue in cheek, like 420 party joke, like, hey, let's get this started, let's rip it up, right? And then I guess a lot of the lyrical content, there's like references to punk rock classics in there, like the Stooges and the Zeros, or I think the Heartbreakers 7 Day, or maybe that's the Dolls 7 Day Weekend or whatever, right? Like,
There's a Gary U.S. Bomb song called Seven
yeah,
Day Weekend too, but yeah.
just a lot of references to classic punk rock and partying in that, just to get the listener warmed up for what's to come.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, your guys' band is no strangers when it comes to partying. I've seen you guys tear it up quite a bit in some of the best ways possible, and it's always a lot of fun. It moves into Fake Work Fridays then, so it opens with this kind of really like groovy sax. It has that Skacore vibe to it across the song. And this was one of your singles that you released prior to the album release. I think this was like was this the third release that you
Yeah, third single.
third single? Okay.
Yes.
What was so it's the third single, but it's the first one I guess you hear of the singles on the record. Why would you go the third route? Like, releasing that third?
I
I honestly don't
I
know why we
think
released it.
I think what I think this,
I don't know if there was
what what
too deep of a
what I
thought process.
recall
Go ahead, Caleb.
what I recall is we thought the strongest single was Light a Spark, and we thought Scott Stapp was like a good ska balance to that, and then I think Fake Work Fridays was more like middle of the road or more our sound or more accessible. It just was a good mix of all that, I think. From what I
Yeah.
remember.
And yeah, and you guys definitely are really good at mixing kind of genres. Like, obviously there's like punk influence, there's the ska aspect of it with the horn, but it really, I mean, on this record there's only a handful of songs that have like that ska kind of feel to it. It's more like a hardcore kind of punk vibe, and incorporating the saxophone in it.
Mhm.
You guys do it really effectively, and I mean, kudos to Caleb for tearing it up on the sax, because they sound really awesome. But yeah, this definitely is more of that punk with the sax in it. Fake Work Fridays. What's that one about lyrically?
Um,
Uh, well, Devin, do you want to give your context on
oh,
what inspired it, and then
yeah,
I'll layer the lyric stuff on
exactly. Yeah. So the title came first, and so this was one of the first songs. Like we were doing, COVID started. We were doing these kind of weekly chats, just kind of catching up with each other. We hadn't talked for a while, and that kind of just led to us hanging out every week, having a good time, just keeping in touch. And then I think we got the idea on one of them to kind of, well, maybe we should try to do something productive, and like maybe let's work on some songs. So this was the first song written after those chats had started, and I was working a remote job at the time, and on one day I just opened up Logic instead of doing the remote work I was supposed to be doing. I just opened up the Logic program and started writing the song, and then titled it "Fake Work Friday." And then Kev kind of expanded on that title, and then I'll let him take where he went with it with the song itself.
Yeah, so lyrically for me, I mean, this band's always been like a working class band. Like we've all had jobs, we've DIY self-financed a lot of stuff, but I spent like 10 years working in Silicon Valley office culture jobs and everything. So this song was a lot of animosity towards like the management class that I'd worked with, of these people who, had like literally fake email jobs, people call them, and they would sit around and, plan their vacations and stuff all day while like other people were doing the value add work of like these environments. And so a lot of that song is like the jobs are fake, the money is fake, the economy is fake. Like that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you guys, so when you write these songs, is it coming? Are you coming in with like kind of stripped down versions, and then Dan, you kind of do your thing, and Caleb, you do your thing, or is it collaborative, more individual work? How does that get developed?
This song in
Um,
particular, Devin came in with all of it. So this was the first
Okay.
track he wrote the sax part on it. Actually, on I added some stuff to it, but usually I've just written my own sax parts for everything else. And you guys can speak to yours, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah,
well, a lot of it
typically.
was.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, well, a lot of the
Go ahead, Dan.
songs, especially Devin writing and demoing the majority of these songs, he came in with like a pretty much fully fleshed demo, um, minus some brief like kind of arrangement stuff, and uh, but even down to like lead guitar lines that definitely informed different sax parts and then different vocal melodies. Uh, and then even programmed drums. So they're like fleshed out demos, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then the hard part was okay, now we have to put ourselves into these spots. And that obviously we
Mm,
wanted that because Devin, I don't think you would disagree that like when you're like chopping together a demo and plugging keys or on a keyboard or something, we don't want to sit with those parts. We want to add the live element of
Mm-hmm.
right.
everything we do. And then on top of that, then that leaves a wide open canvas for Kevin to just start writing lyrics. And it's actually cool in this situation that he took the working title that Devin brought this demo with us and then took it into a whole personal experience for himself.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
it's usually like a vibe is what I'm looking for. Like I'll have an idea of just like a vibe or a sort of sound that I'm wanting the song to have, and I'll just create a skeleton of it. And with technology nowadays, yeah, you can program drums, you can program saxophone, and have that stuff to get like a basic feeling down. And then once I
Yeah,
have that kind of fleshed out and like, okay, this is how like I want the song to feel, then
mm-hmm.
I'll give it to everyone else, and yeah, they'll put their own spin on it, which makes it then offend your friends, and then
Yeah,
it brings it all together to make it the sound that it is.
hell yeah. So we moved from Fake Work Fridays to Scott Stapp, which I think is the
That's that.
greatest title of a song ever, and the artwork for it's really awesome.
we
You
all
get
think it's the
these
greatest as well.
good.
Just, yeah,
um,
we're self confident in that.
you get these you get some upstrokes in this one. It's a little slower paced across the board, I guess, when you are looking at like the first two songs. Still a steady pace, and then you kind of like the hook you keep talking about, like little blue pills. So what's the inspiration with that?
So, Devin, do you want to talk about the Scott Stapp
Yeah.
influence, and then I'll talk about
So
the
I'm
insanity of the lyrics?
yeah. So again, this is another we we ended up keeping, I think the majority of the song titles are the demo titles of what I just
Nice.
Yeah.
called the demos. And this one was, like you said before, like a lot of this record is kind of more punk based, and I had written more punk style songs, and it was at this time. I mean, old Offend Your Friends, kind of about half and half ska and punk, and it's like, okay, we really do
Hmm.
need a ska song, and this is what came out. And the song title, Scott Stapp, I'd always thrown around this idea of a Creed or a cover band that only does ska covers of Creed songs and call
That'd
it
be awesome.
Stapp, and I thought it was hilarious. And so I just that band never happened, but I just titled the song that, and we were throwing around like what we should actually call the song, and somehow we just ended up keeping it as Scott Stapp because we all thought it was funny, and then therefore leading into the single artwork, kind of paying tribute to the Creed's Human Clay
Yeah.
album cover, and but replacing it with a zombie pirate holding a saxophone.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so for the
Yeah.
lyrics on this, I might need to take a breath before I talk about this, but it's a pretty direct homage to one of my favorite video games. It's called Lisa the Painful, and a lot of the references lyrically are just straight off the plot. So the video game takes place in like a post-apocalyptic environment where it's like Mad Max situation, and the lead character is this guy Brad Armstrong, who used to be like a karate instructor before the apocalypse, and now he's like making his way through the wasteland, and he gets addicted to these blue pills called Joy, which are like painkillers, but they have side effects of turning you into like a body horror mutant kind of thing. And so a lot of the other references of like, uh, bikes and Molotovs and stuff like that are straight out of the video game reference. And there's also like a character called Buddy who has like a sword that's like a huge reference to it, and then I kind of mashed that up with shout out to my little sister and combined the character in that. So a lot of crazy stuff happening on that track.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, getting the influence from a bunch of stuff. I do enjoy that song quite a bit. Your next one is the original or the first single of the record, "Light a Spark." A lot of gang vocals kind of in this. Is that everybody doing gang vocals, or is it layered of one person?
I think it's pretty much everybody is on
Yeah,
there. Yeah, it
most
was
of us.
Minus me.
Yeah,
Dan was
well,
not there
yeah,
for the recording of the
not
vocals.
Okay.
not you or Wes, I don't think, but the
Okay.
vocals were done in Tulsa, so it was. I think it was the guy who recorded us, Colton, and then it was Devin, myself, Luke, and Kev. I think on that.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think my stepson Jaden's on there too. He's on
Okay.
a couple of these songs.
Some of the
He might be on that
some
one too.
songs.
Hell yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, there's like a really good like kind of like the verses have a little bit of like of a stronger bass presence on it, which I really dig, and I think it's really good. So what's the inspiration behind this one?
Kind of exactly that. Like I said, I'll always kind of go in to a song with a theme or a vibe that I'm looking for. And for this one was, yeah, like more of a bass driven kind of feel for the verse, kind of stripped back to let the vocals kind of shine and kind
Mm-hmm.
of get that groove going, and then going into the big, just driving sing along chorus, like just that punk rock, like everybody together kind of vibe. And when Kev initially sang me the chorus idea that he had, I knew it's like, okay, this needs group vocals. This is gonna be such a cool vibe when he came to me with that melody. And this song was the last song to be written for the record as well. It was kind of
Oh,
written
cool.
at the same time as Raw Denim. We had, I guess we can kind of go into, we had pretty much the record. I think we felt like it was done, and then we had some issues with we had a computer get stolen and we lost some files, and we can kind of go into that more a little bit later, but we um basically we ended up taking longer time, and so in that time we wrote these final two songs, and this was the
Mm-hmm.
last one. And they're kind of similar vibes to each other, but yeah, bass driven, big chorus, big vibes. And then Kev can kind of take where his lyrical
Yeah. So
influences came from.
this was like the only song we didn't write completely distributed remotely. So I remember being at Devin's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he was playing the riff, and I started writing to it there. And this was also like right after the Ukraine-Russia conflict broke out. So that intro, like, oh wow, what a mess, right? Like was heavily inspired by that. Like, here we go again. And
Mm-hmm.
then the chorus is just like very punk rock oi trope, like, You'll Never Walk Alone from like Coxbar, and a lot of other bands have this kind of thing going on. I'm like, we need a song like that. We need a
Yeah.
Never Walk Alone gang vocal thing going on. So that all came together. Yeah.
Hell yeah, yeah, it's a good one. I
Mhm.
definitely a good way to let people know like this is what we're gonna be doing on the new record, and then it goes into a really fun song, Garfield. Like you have that punk format. I'm talking about being online quite a bit, a lot of time on the internet. And Dan, you were a composer of this one.
Yeah. So I was like, Devin sending all these demos. I need to record something here. It's been something that I've like doing for as long as I can remember, and even I remember having like Windows 98, and there was like a little like recording feature that you would record with like a shitty computer mic,
Hmm.
and I would just like layer, and you were able to layer things together. It was like somewhat of like an earlier kind of multi-tracking thing, but I would just layer stuff together. And I was hearing these songs that Devin was putting together, and I was like, I need to contribute something. So came up with the idea and just kind of, it all kind of happened really quick. And then I was just like, all right, I know the guys will know what else to do with this. And sure enough, like, and it's another one of like the demo names. Garfield had no significance, uh, no significance to any of like anything really, but we decided to keep the name, I suppose. And yeah, Kevin was able to add some really interesting lyrics, and I'm always curious to hear. I feel like I learned something new when he explains like why he wrote this stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think Drew touched on it a little bit. This is just like a song about toxic, you know, terminally online tech addiction that, I personally know firsthand. I think everybody here knows I'm always online. And then there's a bit of a story Dan told of him and some other guy riding their motorcycles and like crashing into a wall and like driving off and partying that really stuck with me. And then so Dan originally proposed the name Garfield because he had like a coffee mug with like a
oh
Garfield
yeah,
the
that's right.
cat on, but there's a whole subculture of the internet of like Garfield memes and stuff that keep popping up, and uh I don't know. I've seen like anarchist bands lately with like Garfield as a logo. So I'm like, okay, this works. We'll just keep Garfield. There's some weird stuff going on here that is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you when you write the songs, Kev, do you share it with the people of the band first, or do they kind of trust you to bring the heat a little bit?
That's a good question. I think there's mutual trust there. So, uh, my lyrical writing process is I'll usually hear the music, whether we're writing it in person or on this album, a lot of it was remote. And then I'll go in and I'll do like a rough draft of just like scratch vocals where it's like Scatman stuff, or I'm like "Dibba-dibba-da-ba-ba," and just try to fill in the melody. And
Hmm.
then I'll go back and like write the lyrics over it once I find a theme and everything. And then usually I'll, show up and be like, this is what I got thus far, right? Like, yeah. And there's
Mhm.
is that accurate, you guys? Is that how it goes? I don't feel like there's
Yeah. No,
pre-approval
there's always a
process.
Yeah,
level. No, there's always a level of trust with Kev's vocals and his lyrics. Like, and it's always something I've admired about Kev with his ability to whenever, even back when we were literally teenagers in our basements writing the old songs and stuff. Like, we would have ideas, we would start jamming, and within 30 seconds, Kev would hear a melody of some sort. And whether it be like those scat kind of vocals and stuff, he would always have something to contribute that just really would fit perfectly somehow. And it was always really cool. And then he would develop his lyrics later on. And even during this call, I'm even learning what some of the songs are about, even more so, which is cool. But he's always been given that freedom. All of us have been given the freedom to do whatever we want with any of these songs. There's a level of trust with Caleb's sax parts, with Dan's drumming, with Kev's lyrics and everything. It's like it's freedom to be yourself, and that's what makes it offend your friends. I
Yeah,
think.
and I think too, like especially on this album, you really do a good job of allowing. When I think of like ska bands, half the time it's like I'll be listening to a ska band and I'm like, well, where the fuck are the horns on half these songs? And I feel like Caleb has a really
Sure.
good presence, and I think you guys do a really good job of blending that, which is good for the horn
Mhm.
players, because they can't always just be dancing around on stage doing nothing. They gotta do some work too.
Yeah, and Caleb has a really does it very tastefully of like blending, like finding those little places to tuck in and fit in, and whether he becomes the dominant melody in a section or he kind of lays back and kind of performs more of like a accompaniment vibe, and like balancing the melodies of his melodies, Kev's melodies, lead
right.
guitar melodies. Like he
Trying
really
to fit in
dances around
between,
it, and it's awesome.
yeah, trying to fit in between all that. Like, am I like another guitar player? Am I like another vocalist?
Sure.
Oh, I guess I'm just a sax, but I just try to fit in somewhere, and find out, yeah, when is it the time to shine and when is the time to compliment, and so
Yeah, well, you do a
Mhm.
great job, man.
And that's with
Uh,
this song too, like with Dan, just started bring this was the first song Dan wrote for us, and he just adds an entirely new element to the band, like in terms of that writing style. It's like that's not how my brain works. and I love it because it's something totally different and cool, and like just introduces a whole nother vibe.
Yeah,
Like,
I wanna add to that that we all have pretty distinct kind of eclectic tastes in music genres, as
mhm,
individuals, and Dan brings, like, a whole new vibe, and I was excited to have him do some writing on this album. Dan has had some solo projects, that are really cool, and they're, like, lo-fi, kinda surf punk stuff going on, so, I feel like the tracks Dan brought to this album captured that, and I was really excited to have that involved.
Hell yeah.
mhm.
Kudos to Dan. Good
Nice.
work, man. Um,
Thanks,
you
guys.
guys you guys switch it up a little bit on the next one, Olive Branch. You have this kind of stripped down acoustic strumming. You get the gang vocals on there on like the woes and the chorus. What's the thought process behind that? Like obviously, like I think it's good to have a wide range of sounds on an album while still sounding cohesive, and you do that with this one. But it's definitely a little bit of a shift when it comes to the sound of it.
And this song, Olive Branch, it's actually an old song. It's
Okay.
probably, I mean, it's over 10 years old. And we have a full band version of it, that's a little bit faster. I don't, Caleb, you can probably remind me when we actually put that out, but
2018.
2018.
2018 we put it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a version of that, but the way the song was originally written was in Luke and Wes's parents' garage on an acoustic guitar, and
Okay.
it was an acoustic guitar. And Kev wrote it again. Like, I had a chord progression, he immediately had a melody, and were singing those woes in that garage, and it was just a really fun, like, kind of campfire vibe. And I remember just loving the how that felt writing that song that way, and I wanted to bring it back to how that felt. Just like, just super raw, one microphone. Like, it's the way we record it is just one mic. We're all in the room together playing it, which is not something that we typically do. Caleb even played piano on it, and it would just really capture that fun, like, sing along energy, just like that feeling of being in a garage with your friends, creating something new, just super raw and not produce. And I wanted to put it in the middle of the record to kind of be that, like, take a breath and
Hmm.
just have that moment of like, all right, this is what it is, and then continue on from there. And I'll let Ken kind of go to the lyrics again on this
Yeah,
one.
I mean, going back to our point just about eclectic genres, to me, this is like the folk punk song on the album.
Hmm.
Like I could see like
Mhm.
Washboard Kids singing this, and that's like a big subgenre that's boomed in popularity in the recent years. Um, And yeah, to Devin's point, I just remember being around a bonfire in the Ranky garage or something and starting with just Devin strumming guitar. And there were a bunch of other people there, like my little brother was there and his friends, and they were like smoking salvia at the time. And I remember them like wigging out. And then I think the whoa chorus is what came first. It was just Devin strumming and
Yeah.
people being like, whoa, whoa, like in the
Hmm.
garage kind of stuff. Um, and then I don't know, lyrically, just the theme of that song is like anti-tribalism. It's like everybody, picking a side on every topic all the time. Like my soda brand is better than your soda brand or whatever. Is just it's human nature, but so
Hmm.
exhausting that it's like, can we just stop fighting about all this dumb shit and like party, right? Like that's really thematically what that's about. Yeah.
Hell yeah, we need that. I agree with you
Hmm.
full heartedly on that one. Next one is Bavarian Street Prince of the Underground, which the intro kind of gives me a little bit of a Rancid vibe. I just you got the guitar strumming a little bit, and then you got the spoken word part of it, and then it kicks in. So it just brought me to a Rancid world for a little bit.
I mean, Rancid definitely a huge influence to me, and really, yeah, some
Hmm.
Tim Armstrong kind of like slurred accent kind of vibe
Right.
on that for real. Yeah. Devin, do you want to speak some more to that?
Yeah. This one is, it's one of the older songs on the record too. It wasn't like, it was a demo that I think I originally started probably about 10 years ago as well, and then I kind of revisited it. It was probably, my guess is we probably did our 10-year show, and then
Yeah,
I
Okay.
must have been inspired or something by doing that show that I started putting this together. and then it kind of sat for a while. And then once we started working on songs for record, it's like, oh, what about this other one that we had kind of worked on in the past? And that kind of came out. And I think I was did we jammed this out even before? Kev, you
Yeah,
have
I
some
should.
old like recordings of
Yeah,
it.
I just found
Yeah,
old recordings of this from, I want to say, 2016 at the
yeah.
Boneyard, where it was
Oh,
like
nice.
Okay.
us jamming with our friends. Yeah, so in Fond du Lac, the Boneyard. Shout
Mhm.
out to Tony. Us jamming, and I think Tony was actually playing on this on the original
Maybe.
thing, and it was like recorded through like his Nest security cam footage or something. So we like ripped it off that, and I guess it had been sitting around in Devin's mind since, and brought it back for this.
Yeah, yeah. It was there. And I think at the time I was probably listening to like you said, Rancid, and I think probably some like Gaslight Anthem kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then which when then Caleb added his sax parts that just feel like Bruce Springsteen E Street Band to me, and I absolutely love him. And it just kind of brought it all together into this cool thing that it is now. Like it was like it needed those sax parts to really elevate it to
Yeah.
the to that next level.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
And I should say, lyrically for this, a big theme of this album was Caleb always bugging me, like, Kev, why do you got to write such negative songs? Why are you writing all these like toxic songs? And like our band, Literally Offend Your Friends, was because I used to just write songs kind of trashing people and like being mad about stuff. So I tried to take a more optimistic take on this album and write about things I like or love, And so this song's actually about my little brother and just what chaotic situations you can get into with him. And yeah, that's the whole theme of it.
I've spent some time with Brian back in the day.
You understand.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah.
It moves into one of my favorite songs on the record is Terry Funk Retirement Party. Like I like the sound of it. I like it quite a bit, and it's yeah, definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. This one was a just classic 2 minute fast punk song with a big chorus is all I had in mind for that. And then Kev just took it and ran with it with one of his other favorite themes.
Yeah, another thing I love, pro wrestling and hardcore
Mhm.
wrestling. And Terry Funk is like considered a pioneer of, like chair shots to the head, barbed wire matches, etc. And he's also known for having an unusually long career where he was like 67 years old and still doing like backflips off like the balcony onto cement floors and stuff. And I don't even know when his last match was, but so like the whole idea with that is like his retirement plan was just like to die in the ring or something, right? And like while we were recording this album, there was like pressure. We were like, we got to put this out before Terry Funk dies, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately,
It really
we did
was.
not
And then he
make
died.
that, but
He did.
that
We
was
did not make it.
that was kind of our guiding deadline for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So rest in peace, Terry. Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, that's how it
R.I.P.,
goes.
baby.
I
The
like how that's sort of an allegory to that on your own life. Like how you should live your own life. Maybe that's what I take
Exactly.
from it, Kev.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
On the next one, you get you get the old ska verbiage of "Pick It Up." There's a song called "Killer Acid." You got the upstrokes on the guitar, and the sax lines are really good on this one. I really like the highlight
Oh,
of this
thank you.
song is
Mhm.
the sax for sure. And then you get some vocal range with this. You get some falsetto, and then you get a little bit of a hardcore scream towards the end. Like it's a little mismatch of everything. It's done in a
Mhm.
great way.
So this is a Dan song. Dan wrote this, and it really takes you on a journey. So Dan, I'll let you take it from
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, probably shortly after working on the Garfield track. Um, I don't even know where I started with it, but I think I kind of started with somewhat of the guitar, like more of that upstroke uh, vibe, trying to give it more of like a ska vibe. Thinking like, okay, Caleb, this could blend well with the saxophone and give the saxophone room to breathe, and then really just trying to like kind of make the bass line kind of a little bit more like kind of punchy and just like make it kind of busy, but at the same time try to open it up in the chorus. I don't know. It was just like sitting in my bedroom studio at the time, just like, what can I come up with? And as soon as I started playing with it, I thought like, oh, this actually sounds pretty cool. And again, same sort of format. It just goes to the guys, and then Caleb is throwing back ideas for sax lines and sax melodies, and then Kevin is taking the lyrics into a whole place that never saw any of it coming, and really liked what Kevin did with the vocals on this. And I agree, like the vocal range on this one really, yeah, it takes you kind of all over the place, and I really like that about this song.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, so the lyrics on this are kind of crazy. There's this book called The Immortality Key that is about the proliferation of psychedelic drug use in Greece, ancient Greece, and how it spread around the Mediterranean and possibly caused civilization to form because people were hitting like, ergot-based LSD. I've never read the book. I've just heard people talk about this thing. So I was inspired by that theme. And then there was the theme of this party house we used to live at. Caleb used to live at 410 Ellis. That we spent a lot of time in there. And then there's another theme of like quantum physics and the notion of spooky action. And I don't really want to have to expand on all that shit, but it's like if you could party so hard that you time traveled, right? Like that's what this is about. Like
and there's a Kurt Vonnegut reference.
Well, there's a Slaughterhouse Five reference in there too.
Yeah. The Billy Pilgrim's the Kurt Vonnegut.
That's true. Yeah, that's Slaughterhouse Five, which is also time travel, like breaking the fourth dimension kind of stuff. So that's the theme of this song, and then like vocally, with Caleb's killer horn lines in this, it gave me a real kind of like funk vibe, like 70s funk. So I'm like, oh, they always put in the falsetto, baby, right? Yeah, that's where this all comes together. I feel like such a schizo explaining this.
And Kev, we had like a call and response at the end there, and I don't even know how that shook out to be like that. I can't even remember. It just happens. You just try to write something, and you do what you think, and Kev does what he thinks, and like all of a sudden there's a call and response. So.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. It really shows the dynamics that you guys have, which is awesome to see. Raw Denim is the next one. A little more of some hardcore vibes in there, and then you have these towards like I guess you could call like a breakdown or a bridge. You have an explosion of words and there's sensors in them, which I thought was interesting. So what was the thought behind censoring the lyrics at that part?
A joke.
We're very family friendly now. We don't want any cursing in any of
when we were trying to think about what we're going to call the album at one point, it was like what radio friendly. It was something like that. We were like, it was like a joke too, but I think we were just trying to have fun with it because we're like, the breakdown is only half serious anyway. It's just it's a pastiche of something that it's kind of goofy.
Yeah, the song was written. The reason the breakdown exists is because of the amount of whiskey and coke I had in the afternoon that I was writing it. I wanted it to be yes, whiskey and Coca-Cola. But I wanted like a bass-driven song, like I said, like this song and not Very Bright. That was the working title. Light a Spark. Were written as the last two songs of this record. And one afternoon, I just started kind of working on this. And I was enjoying myself. I had a couple cocktails, and then my wife continued to bring them to me throughout the afternoon. And by about the fifth or sixth one, I'm like, I played in like heavy bands as well. I'm like, I gotta put a breakdown to this because this is just funny to me. And then we kind of ran with that vibe. And I didn't even think we were gonna keep it that part, but everyone ended up liking it with beeping it all out. It just
it's great.
Made it more our vibe of like kind of like poking fun at it almost.
For sure.
Yeah,
poking fun at toughness.
We tried it we tried it with the bleeps and without the bleeps, and it sounded better with the bleeps because there's more of like an emphasis, right? Like it's kind of a joke thing.
Yeah. We all took turns screaming that bridge. Actually, Kev, myself, and Caleb are all screaming in that
Which
in,
the full
in that
outtakes would
bridge
be great,
section.
because I think I was actually screaming about potato pancakes, and that's where my part comes from.
Yeah, and Devin
But oh shit is what it came out as. That's the part they saved. So.
and Devin mentioned
Oh,
briefly, but he
shit.
does have a big history of like hardcore bands and everything.
Yeah.
So we needed to
Oh,
get
yeah.
that in.
Mhm.
And also
Right.
just kind of like thematically and what's going on in like, you know, the music scene. There's just a ton of hardcore stuff happening now. So it's almost a little joke on that. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
here's a little bit for that palette.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up. You said, you know, Devin has a lot of hardcore roots and stuff. When I was in high school, there probably wasn't a weekend where there wasn't a Devin King band playing somewhere in
It's probably true.
Fond du Lac. And it was no, it was great. It's like, I mean,
It's probably true.
well, you know, painting in France. I saw you guys
Painting
quite
in
a
France.
bit.
Yep. Yep. The
Passiflora.
full name was The Rise and Fall of Landscape Painting in
That's right.
France,
That's
which is
right.
really
That's
Yeah.
stupid.
badass.
Yeah. And then of course you were in Debbie Jive as
Yep.
well. Another ska band. My brother-in-law Isaiah was in that band as well.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So good times.
I
Good
was
Yeah.
for one
times.
show.
Whoa, Drew,
Yeah.
sorry
Caleb
that
played in that band for one show.
this is off topic, but how is Isaiah? He pops in my mind all the time, dude. And I'm like,
Yeah,
hope that guy's doing well.
he's doing well. He's out in the Twin Cities and he's thriving. He's a good guy. Yeah, we talk
Awesome.
music from time to time. But yeah, good dude for sure.
That's
Hey
awesome.
guys, I got a split. I can't wait to hear the rest of this. You guys
Awesome.
don't
Awesome.
disappoint.
Cool, bro.
All right. Thanks,
Enjoy the rest
Dan.
of your day,
Dan.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
See ya.
So,
All
yeah.
right, peace.
All right, you got two more songs to talk about here. So the next one
Yep.
is Stork Club. Again, another great kind of horn section on this one. What's this one all about?
So I actually wrote a guitar riff for this and sent it over to Devin. And like I had a friend who was teaching me like Cuban jazz chords at one time. So I knew a little riff that was like and I sent that to Devin and he turned it into more of a rock punk vibe. But then I mean the song is just literally about this club in Oakland called the Stork Club. And there's a pre and post COVID Stork Club. And so this is more about the pre-COVID Stork Club, which was a total dive, right? And so there's a story in the song about actually me and a friend were walking by randomly one day and two guys outside were like, "Hey, do you guys want to watch a boot chug off?" And we're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do a boot chug off right now. Get in here." So we walk in. It's like 4:30 in the afternoon, pitch dark in the bar. Like three guys hanging around, and they're doing like the German boot chug off, right? And so the first guy goes, barely makes it through the boot, starts puking it out, projectile vomiting it all over because he went so fast on the chug. And then the next guy was like, "Oh, you suck, man. You couldn't handle that, right?" And then the second guy goes and he just vomits all over. And so like we're sitting there just drinking like beers watching this. And suddenly there's like flies coming in because there's just beer spilled all over. And so that story's captured in this song. And I have some loose photos of this going around. I might have to share. It's so crazy. And then the rest of it is about like bands I've seen there and around Oakland, California. And then that was the inspiration for that.
Hell yeah.
Oh, actually, hold up. There's another killer story in that too. So the pre-COVID owner was this guy named Tom, and one day I was in there, and he's like, "Hey, I'm having my birthday party here next week." I'm like, "Okay." So I went in, and it was like him and his son and a bunch of burlesque dancers because his mother used to run like a burlesque club or something. So I'm sitting with him and his son, and like throwing dollar bills at these burlesque girls and everything. And I'm like, what am I doing? What is this shit, right? So
it was just the three of you?
Yeah. It was so fucking weird. Anyway, shout out to pre-COVID Store Club. Shit was awesome.
Hell yeah, you influence a great song. The last one on the album is "These Streets." You get that strong background gang vocals once again. I would say this one's a little bit of a different vibe than the rest of the record, just kind of in the sound a little bit. It's not like I couldn't really figure out how to describe it, but it wasn't as punky as some of the other stuff, and it like maybe like a mix of like some more like rock and roll. I don't really know, but it just to me when I listen to
Mhm.
it, I just get a different vibe from it.
Yeah, I like one of my favorite bands that in more of the punk kind of genre is Against Me,
Oh yeah.
and Laura Jane Grace kind of does like a lot of these really cool, like interesting, like chord progressions with like open notes and kind of stuff where it's like you're not really playing a chord necessarily, but it's like keeping stuff open and then having like a melody kind of going at the same time. And I really always loved that kind of sound. And so that's what I kind of went for with this song. And it's one of my favorite chord progressions that I have on the record. It's one of my favorites, and originally written on an acoustic guitar, which I think then kind of gives it that more like kind of rock and roll vibe necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
not quite as fast punk. And then and then Caleb actually wrote the lyrics for this one. I'll let him
Oh
kind of
nice.
expand on that.
Well, I want
Yeah,
to just
I
I want to
Oh wait, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
interject.
go
go ahead.
ahead.
I
Okay.
want to interject quick because this is novel that Caleb wrote the lyrics for this, and then I had like so much anxiety going to sing this and like nailing it, and yeah, that was kind of a new experience. But yeah, Caleb, I'll let you fill in the writing.
Yeah, I mean, well, everyone was just sitting around their house during COVID, so we had the demo, and just one day I was just like, I just had the urge just to write it, and I'm like, well, I'll just send it, and Kev's first like, well, I don't know, and then he's like, oh, this is actually pretty good, okay, and then yeah, he was able to take it and basically put his little bit of vocal spin on it, but basically read it as is. Um, it was kind of like a coming home song. It was just about all of us that knew each other for so long and still being tight. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess I'll just a quick reference on it. Like the first line is the tower's gone, the jinxed men dead, MD shards surround our heads, and the tower's gone is the Fond du Lac water tower, which was on the first
Yep.
cover of our first album.
Mhm.
And the Jinxed Men, I don't know if you remember the band called Jinxed, but there was two guys in that band that died. It was Phil and then Opie Schwefel, who was in
Yeah.
Johnny and the Fucks. And so they died during right before this album in 2019. They died in like 2 months apart. So that's a reference to them and bands we grew up with. And then MD is Mad Dog 2020 and just drinking and broken glass around our heads. So but yeah, it's just like a story of coming home, and these streets is the streets of Fond du Lac, and we
Yeah.
got to play it at a release show, so it was great.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's I mean, you touch on having those friendships and being having those connections even after all these years, and everything like that, and to have like a band like Offend Your Friends have this longevity, even though like it was 20 years apart since you released a full length. I think it was 2018. You had that 2 song EP,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mhm.
but to be able to come back together and then also to be able to come and throw on a show where it's sold out because every time I've seen you guys come together at Ziggy's and other places and it's always just packed and it doesn't matter like how many years it's been or what it's like all
Mhm.
your familiar people all the friends are back and it's I think there's something really powerful in that when you were writing this one obviously there's growth in 20 years of being a teenager to now being older, having more responsibilities, having families, and all that kind of stuff. Was your approach to writing this record just like we're gonna do what we like, what we think sounds good? And I know Devin, you said like you were kind of intentional about having some like ska like songs, but at the same time,
Mhm.
it's not like the whole record, or was it just kind of like was it like a new approach to it, but under the same name with the same people, or kind of how did you go about creating this record?
It was kind of a blend of all of that. Like you said, like 20 years in between records. Those first records, I mean, were written when we were literally kids. I mean, we were
Mm-hmm.
teenagers. Like I don't know if there was many songs written before or after I was 18 years old even. Like the majority of them I was probably 15, 16. And so as a musician, as a person, you obviously grow and I've been touring with bands, both playing in bands, worked with amazing producers over the last 15 years, and so songwriting skills have definitely improved, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've learned how to really craft a song, and Dan as well and Caleb as well. Like we've all like had the pleasure of like being musicians for 20 plus years now, where like you just grow and you learn what kind of works and what doesn't, and when to take a step back and when to do more and simplify songs when it works better. and not overcomplicate things, which is something I did a lot in my early 20s. I was trying to play the hardest stuff of all time. But then it's like coming back to this, it's like, no, three chords is awesome.
Right.
And but this was a balance of like working with producers and stuff, and like the band I played for a long time, the Color Morale, is like a metalcore band where it's like everything is perfect, everything is super produced, super polished. And so this whole thing was like kind of battling the two, because like
Mm-hmm.
Offend Your Friends is a group of friends playing music for fun in a basement to their friends, just having a good time. And it's like, how do we blend that and not lose that feeling
Right.
while also having this kind of more polished, like really intentional songwriting to like make it sound the way we want it to, but like blend the two to have it kind of. And I think we really accomplished what we were going for with that. It's like it's the most polished thing we've ever done, but it still has that energy and feel and fun, and
Yeah.
still feels like an Offend Your Friends record. Like it's not that far off of the other stuff, but it just feels like the next natural progression.
Yeah, definitely. And then with the title of Almost Didn't Make It, I know you mentioned before you lost some stuff in the laptop and the songs, and we've talked a little bit previously about that. And there's a lot more when it comes to that album title, which is kind of wild. If you want to
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's just layers of that. Like Wes had he had to go to the hospital, so there was like the picture of the album cover, which he did the artwork for that, and it's himself on the gurney because he had a health scare, and then it just the rolling out of the album, losing that laptop, and then because we started this in 2020 and it didn't come out till 2026, so there's a 6-year gap there when most of it was recorded by 2022, at least the first time around.
wow.
So
Mm.
yeah, it kind of, and then it just sat for a while, and then it was like, are we going to play a show? Are we not going to play a show? So I don't know if you guys want to add anything. I'm probably missing some things, but
I guess we can go into did we talk about the laptop being stolen? So yeah, all of the
briefly,
vocals were
yeah.
recorded in 21. Like we had the whole album
Mhm.
done minus Raw Denim and Light a Spark. Like everything was pretty much at least recorded. It wasn't done, but it was recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And then the laptop gets stolen from outside of Dan's house, and so we lose all of the vocal tracks that we had just done. And we still had a lot of the original demo stuff, like all the projects themselves, but all the vocals were gone. And so it kind of put us at a standstill for about, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so. And then I was living in Tulsa at the time, and I had a friend, Colton, who has worked with a lot of great artists, and he has a studio in Tulsa. And we thought, well, let's bring Kev back here, and Caleb and Luke came down as well. And it's like, all right, well, let's retrack these vocals here, and by doing it there, it kind of took on a whole new life of what this record ended up turning into. And we got to really like sit down and work with Colton on some of the stuff, and we did a bunch of I think we did like 3 or 4 days straight of just vocals, and just really dove into everything. Group vocals, that's where we recorded Olive Branch, and then Colton took it and mixed the record and everything, and it turned into this amazing thing that I think it was the first laptop getting stolen was probably the best thing that could have ever happened for this record, in a weird way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it sucks that it got stolen, but it
Right.
made this record turn into what it is now, and it wouldn't have been
There's also
anything
now,
like this.
there's also now the lore of there's a lost Defend Your Friends album out there somewhere on a laptop.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
some
Right.
people
Be
dig that up.
It'd be interesting
And
if the
I-
person who stole it released it all.
Right.
I think we actually have the unmixed like bounces of those songs. We just don't have all the files of them or the Logic
Okay.
files or whatever. But like,
Sure.
there is we could listen to back to that. But and then they changed the album title too, because it wasn't Almost Didn't Make It. It was originally Landlord Party Closet, which was a whole different thing. And then we were trying to, like, are we going to change it to Almost Didn't Make It? Or are we going to change it to We Used to Party in This Country, which is a line that Kev uses often? Or are we going to call it like, radio friendly album or something, so, and then
Mhm.
eventually like,
Yeah.
okay, it's going to be almost, because all these different things that happen, we're like, it's got to be that now. We're
It's
so
gotta be
far
Almost Didn't
removed
Make
from
It.
where that was, and it came together that way.
Yeah.
And Wes's artwork was just the icing on the cake to
Oh
really
yeah, just
solidify it.
amazing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Mhm.
It's a great album. It's super good, and I encourage anybody to definitely listen to it, and also listen to the old stuff. Like Indecisive Bastards is a great one as well. And there's all the work. Do you guys have? Because I know you're kind of all over the place. You're all doing different things. Do you have any shows in the works or anything new coming up, or are we kind of still like relishing in the glory that is almost didn't make it?
Um, we got a couple demo tracks we're passing back and forth right now,
Mhm.
and then we are talking about doing a show maybe in the Milwaukee area, maybe
Okay.
holiday time, Thanksgiving or something.
Mhm.
This is all pipe dream stuff right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, very early stages.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been yeah, it's a great record, and I appreciate you guys talking to
Thank
me
you.
again about it and really breaking it down with me. Um, yeah, it's super great. How can people keep up to date with you and see what you guys are all up to?
We're on all the streaming platforms. We own offendyourfriends.com that will take you places. We're on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah,
Mhm.
check it out.
Awesome. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for hopping on and giving me your time and talking about this.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Drew.
having us, Drew. It was a lot of
Awesome. Yeah.
fun.
Thank you so much for very cool.